Good Vibes Only is here to take you on a journey to discover the weird and wacky world of wellness. It's brought to you by the globally renowned skin and wellness expert Marie Reynolds, who holds over 36 years of experience within the skin and wellbeing industry. Each week, Marie shares her own holistic lifestyle hacks and chats to other leading wellness experts to find out their good vibe story, discussing how they deal with day-to-day stress, anxiety, sleep, and skin issues. Listen in as Marie explores why, when it comes to our health and wellness, we need to look beyond the linear, question the norm, and think outside the box.
Today, I am joined with Damian Etherington, who I have known now for, I think, about 8 or 9 years. Is that right, Damian?
It's getting up there, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think as well that you're another one that the moment we spoke to each other, it's like we're kindred spirits. We get really excited about new little nuances that we can bring herbs or homeopathic remedies in, or new treatments, and we try and get together once a month and brainstorm. But I want you to introduce yourself to the listeners and tell everybody what you do and how you got into it, and then we can talk more about the herbs and homeopathic remedies.
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me on. And I agree. I remember the first time we spoke, there was that instant engagement. And it's probably the reason why we're still doing this together. How did we find each other? Well, my company, Precision Health, really at the simplest form, we're dedicated to creating a healthier world. That's the whole MO, and everything that we do with the company has to really support that, Marie. How did I get into it? The stories are always fun, aren't they? You never, sometimes you don't realize how you're going to get into something. But I was a bit blessed, or maybe it was just good timing, or, I don't know what it was, but I had the privilege of, as a teenager, my primary care physician was a holistic chiropractor, nutritionist, kinesiologist. Great. So I was introduced to health at a fairly early age.
Yeah.
So that started getting my mind thinking about, well, what is all this?
But was that from your parents, or?
Yeah, interestingly enough, this gentleman still sees my mother and is amazing.
I enjoy my conversations with you all the time, and I look forward to it. You're very calming. I'm very let's do this. And you're very zen and very calming. So yeah, it's good to know that your parents were into holistic medicine.
Yeah, I mean, even then, chiropractic wasn't, a mainstream thing as much. Yeah. I mean, I knew it well, but it was kinesiology. What?
Yeah.
So, it was quite a privilege. And funny enough, feel this one out, right? All of these years later, some of the products that he was using, I'm distributing here in the UK.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Just
so
quickly,
I was using these products.
Yeah. For those who don't understand what kinesiology is, explain what kinesiology is.
Oh, my goodness. It's the ability for a trained practitioner to test the body using muscle testing, asking questions, to use its own innate wisdom to tell the practitioner where they need to go. That's probably the short version.
See, I use my oscillating rod,
yes.
On my little wand, and it's picking up on the electromagnetic frequencies of absolutely everything. So with your remedies, you send me little vials that I can test. So the client holds it, and then you pick up on the electromagnetic frequency. So it's a really clever way of testing the body, isn't it?
It really is, agreed. And having that personal experience as a teenager, initially kind of going, what's this all about? And then seeing the consistency of it and that it worked, I thought, okay, there's obviously something here. And, at the beginning of the day, rather than the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, all modalities do the same thing. They tap into the natural, you could say, healing process that we all possess.
Yeah.
Right? They just do it in different ways. So there's no one that's better than the other. They all do the exact same thing in principle of engaging health at the core level. Then it's just the need of the specific individual, whereas chiropractor might be right for somebody, an osteopath, a kinesiologist, bioresonance, whatever it might be. So, and I think that's the beauty, that we can all relax into and trust that process. So it's pretty amazing. So that kind of started at least my awareness journey, because I was not training to be a practitioner at all. I am not a practitioner. I'm a health professional, but I'm not a licensed practitioner. There's a difference. And funnily enough, later in my teens, I started working just on the side. I just thought, okay, yeah, I knew somebody at this company. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get a little job while I'm in university. And I started working for a extremely holistic skincare company. And guess what they used to produce their products? The spagyric processing method, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
which we'll
great.
get into. So, and even back then, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't really have a lot of awareness of what that really meant. I did know that what it meant is very clean, pure. When I started looking at ingredients, that got me thinking about ingredients. I started reading what we're putting on our bodies,
What we're
and
absorbing every day.
exactly,
Yeah.
indeed. And then that's when I started throwing out all the chemicals I couldn't read on my skincare and my whatever I was doing, shampoo and whatnot. That really helped bring me some awareness and educate me on what are we putting in our bodies. And that was another start. Still didn't think I was going to be doing this. I was doing design and art and creative things
Music.
like that, and music as well. So, short story, I was working as a designer, and I had the opportunity to come over to the UK. My father's from the UK originally, so I've got lots of family here. So I came over for a little bit of a holiday, surprise some family. Short story is that a company that I knew of wanted to come over to the UK and asked if I'd like to help, and that was energetics. So I started helping with energetics run the company here, and I did that from late 2002, officially early 2003, until 2011 when I created Precision Health.
So that was around the time that I got on board, really.
Yeah, it was right around then.
Because energetics is a homeopathic and supplement brand.
Yeah, all the products we do are practitioner only. So they really were a great foundation for me to learn about the industry. In a more deeper level, I started really getting a feel of what was going on out there, and took quite a bit of responsibility personally to kind of learn, engage, and collate a lot of information, that we're seeing, because we're working with all modalities. Who would have known all those years when Steve was prescribing some of these products to me as a teenager, fast forward into early 2000s, and I'm helping run the distribution here for the UK side. And
and you've got your own company now. So your company is Precision Health. Explain to us what that entails and what products you have.
Yeah, one of the things I've always done is I've always had a side project, whatever I was working for a company or doing something, whatever it was. And while working for Energetics, which is a great company, I love them. I represent their products as our company. But I noticed something very interesting is that I started hearing a lot of feedback from the industry about the need for help with their business, like quite acute need.
Yeah.
And so I delved quite deep into that and started realizing that our industry was really, really effective at teaching a modality, whatever it was, but quite ineffective at having enough education to teach practitioners and how to have a healthy practice.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I started a side company while I was working for Energetics, as you do, called Practice Management Consultant. You could say that was almost the start of Precision Health.
Yeah.
Because that was my side project, and I started doing seminars, and I've got workshops and education around all of this. And then in 2011, I took over the UK side of Energetics, renamed it Precision Health, brought everything I was doing under one umbrella. Okay.
Made sense.
Yeah.
When you run your own business, I was a single mum and I was left in a position where I was without work through no fault of my own. And it is a scary thing. And I have a lot of therapists saying, oh, how did you do it when you was a single mum? I know that every time when we have our conversations, I say, guess what I've just bought? Or guess what I've just invested
I know that well.
in? And you go, oh my God. But I have promised my husband I am not going to invest in anything else. I think when you get into this industry, it is really addictive. It is really addictive. There's no pigeonhole for all of these modalities. It's what you said earlier. It's about pulling in all what you know for the greater good of the body. Yes. And I've got my own wellness brand, but I always love Precision Health products. I love the turmeric and the milk thistle, and they are fantastic, such good quality products. But getting back to the business side, I've never done a business plan, whether that's right or wrong. I'm dyslexic, so I can't manage anything like that. And I've very much thought along the lines, don't overthink it. If you have confidence in yourself and you know what you're doing, then you just commit to what you're doing and focus, and it works out.
Yeah. And, I think the key thing is finding what works individually.
Yeah.
I take the very same principles that practitioners guide their patients through and apply that simplicity to business.
Yeah.
So really, we're not, it really is holistic business. It's healthy business. We take the same principles. And the reason that makes sense to me is because health makes sense to me. And at the fundamental, core of it, it is really simple. Now, the application can be the challenge in the individual healing strategies there. I had an amazing woman tell me many years ago that all disease is a blockage in the flow system. And I thought,
correct.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So that means health is flow. If disease is a blockage in the flow.
Yeah.
So at that level, then how do we have a healthy flow of a practice, a business? And I just apply those same principles. And everybody is unique. They have their history and what they've done. And we take all of that and pay it forward, invest that into what they're doing. Because most people work in their business, but not on it. And so we just look at ways to help assist with that. I really believe there should be the balance of this holistic health and holistic business. And we bring that together for practitioners and assist at whatever individual need is apparent there. So yeah, it really is exciting to be doing this work. And, Marie, how many times have we talked about what a pleasure it is to wake up to be able to help create a healthier world every day?
Oh, I've spoken to you about this before. I have been in the industry for 36 years now, and I have created a platform and I have met some amazing people. I have had some amazing opportunities that I could potentially have been a very wealthy woman by now and not had to work or just be a figurehead. But my whole drive is the fact that I've helped someone in their health story. That, to me, is worth more than my ego being massaged on a magazine or, money in the bank. Don't get me wrong, we all need money to survive, but my practice is my world. I even say to my husband, I come in my practice and it is like my boost, my life. It's what runs through my veins. Yeah. And I absolutely love what I do. And I love, the feedback from the clients is what you do it for. That is what you do it for.
I made a decision a very long time ago, and I really love hearing that. And I made a decision a long time ago, Marie, to only do what I love. Because, if you want to look back and kind of think, well, what did I achieve this month, this year, this decade? That can be powerful. Yeah. How many people's lives have I helped through the practitioners that I serve? Yeah, thousands? Thousands?
Exactly. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Well, over the years I've done, I would say thousands of
easily.
People.
This is it. Yeah. And so you multiply that times all the modalities that we support, and it's very rewarding. And it's that balance of the privilege and the responsibility of both of that. Yeah. And I only do what I love. And
isn't it a good feeling, eh?
It really is. Life is meant for living, not existing.
Exactly.
So, and that's what precision health is about, the precision around health, the preciseness, respecting that. I think that's really all it comes down to, respecting the healing process. Everything else lines up when you do that. Yeah. Because if you do that, you won't do anything else that disrespects it.
No, that's right. And I think as well, I've spoken about this before on social media, when I do lives, when I have my interviews, when I've been on podcasts, is that people want a quick fix to everything nowadays. And a quick fix is fine to get that instant result, but that condition is still there and it will pop up and pop up. That when you get somebody that is committed to changing their way of life and committing to a program, they get amazing results. Indeed. They literally reprogram the body, and the body is an amazing thing. So tell us about the energetics products and also the precision health products.
As far as the company Energetics, they're based in the US and they're distributed here for the UK. They have a full range of products, nutritionals, topicals, homeopathics, things like that. They're very clean, very pure products. Again, they support our vision of creating a healthy world. I wouldn't continue to represent those products if they didn't do that. They've been around for well over 20 plus years, have the efficacy in the industry. They're great.
Well, I mean, I've been using them for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And I always prescribe them to my clients and prescription only. And they have been fantastic homeopathically to support the healing process.
This is it. And as I was learning more and more about the industry while I was working with Energetics, the ethos behind that, working with practitioners only, there's a very specific reason for this. And the key thing is, these things I look at as a tool. Products are just a tool. The goal is health. So what are the resources that we put in place to assist practitioners to get to that point? Well, products are one of those, the education, the tools, the clinical tools, the business development, all those are just tools. So the products are never the why. They represent a journey towards that, but they're not the why. And why we only work with practitioners is so that patients get the exact need for their healing strategy at the time, rather than guessing. And I think this is part of the challenge you were mentioning earlier about people looking for that quick fix. Who doesn't want a quick fix? When it'd be great to feel great. We all get that. And the key thing to remember is that sometimes when these things have been around for a while, 5, 10, 20 years for some people, they don't just disappear overnight, usually. I'm not saying that can't happen, but rarely does that happen. And if we put a product on a pedestal and think this is the be all and end all, and it's going to do that work for me, it's like, well, that principle doesn't really work. It's just a tool along the way. So with the Energetics products, they are focused on holistic health. So with all of that, the natural way forward for me was always respecting that healing process. So initially we were just doing Energetics products for the clients that we had. I knew there were things that we were missing in our line that we couldn't bring into the country for various reasons. And all the time in the back of my head, I was thinking spagyric. And I'll describe what that is in a minute, but spagyric, that this processing method that is so pure, so clean, effective. So I knew that I wanted to shout this from the rooftops to our industry, let people know about it, because you'll probably say the same thing. But when I said, are you familiar with spagyric? Did you know what it was when I first asked you? Most people had never heard of it.
No, years ago I didn't know what it was.
And look, I ask that question on a weekly basis, and most people go, never heard of it.
No.
So part of my joy is shouting it from the rooftops to let people understand what it really means. So with precision health, I always knew that I wanted to take all my passions and use that company to express them, right, whatever they might be. In this case, for the health field, high quality products on the product side, high quality education on the education side. And those are just resources. So when I started looking at wanting to introduce products into the marketplace, it had to be spagyric. That journey started back in 2012.
Well, it takes such a long time. People don't realize how long research and development and producing these products takes. It takes a long time. And then you've got the testing, and then you've got the toxicology reports and all things like that. It takes a long time and a lot of money and investment.
Yeah, there's a lot of investment in many ways. And so it was always a passion. I started the journey, started looking back and forth, finding a way to do it. And finally, we were able to do it. Incidentally, we released our first product, Colmino, which I know you love, in 2014. That's when we released that product, which is a great nutritional product.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is.
Yeah, it's been well received. In fact, it hit our top spot within 11 months of releasing it.
Because that has like colostrum in it, doesn't it? And it also has like immune factors, growth factors, all of these things. Yeah. And that is particularly good for gut health as well, isn't it?
This is what our practitioners tell us. Indeed. And this is what they see out there. So that was our first one, and the next products didn't come till a year and some change ago. We released last October the 9 surgically processed products. So it was definitely a journey, but it was a journey well worth doing, because these products, in my mind and in my experience, are second to none. And I have to believe in them. But the spagyric processing method, which maybe we could kind of get into the history of what it
No,
even is to help.
please do. I mean, the turmeric I have with me all the time, and I give to my clients whenever they come for a treatment. I always give them like the active water in a glass bottle with some turmeric and some spectrumin and rehydration. That's a given. Whether they like it or not, that's what they're off. They toddle off outside the clinic with one of those little concoctions. And I absolutely love that turmeric. It's beautiful. And it tastes lovely as well.
It was the first product I had when we got the first test back in 2018 when we first got them. I remember opening it. I was so excited, and I've tasted them all just because I need to know.
Yeah.
But I just remember I was so excited, and this kind of clarity of the product once I took it. Anyway, I was invested and sold right then and there. I always knew it was going to be great, but the first time I got to actually see them, feel them, taste them, it changed everything. So let's talk a little bit about what spagyric is and why I chose this method of processing. It's a way to process plant matter. So that's the first thing we need to remember. So what spagyric means is to draw out. So the word spagyric comes from speo, which is to draw out or kind of divide, separate, divide, and agirio, which is to gather, unite. Okay, so spagyric is to separate and bring back together, reunite. So the spagyric processing method effectively takes the original substance, separates it into its constituent parts, water, pulp, and oil, purifies it, and then brings it back together. This takes 40 days to do, Marie, 40. Okay, so it's a labor of love for sure. One of the reasons why people don't hear about it is because there's not many companies out there doing it in the first place, because one, you need to know how.
Yeah.
Two, you have to be willing to do it.
Because you do it in a special greenhouse, don't you, with special bottles as well. So the bottles are sort of like one bottle on top of another bottle, isn't it? And that you these big demijohns. I definitely will get to kind of how we do it. This processing method, Marie, dates back to the 16th century. So it was invented by a gentleman named Paracelsus. He is known as the father of this method. And interestingly enough, spagyric was synonymously used with the word alchemy. It's alchemy. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what's really interesting, if you look at what was happening at this time period, it was the start of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
When he was around. So a lot was going on in our history right then and there. Paracelsus was known as one of the most influential medical scientists in Western Europe at the time. And guess who was alive at the same time as him? Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo, and many other greats. Yeah. So there was a lot happening in our history at that time. He was very interested in medicine, botany, herbs, minerals from a very early age. He earned his doctorate at age 22.
Wow.
Yep. Spoke German, Latin, ancient Greece. If you used and ever say the word zinc, you owe it to Paracelsus.
There you go. Look, see? Every day's a school day.
There we go. Most people don't realize that he also introduced the theory of targeted organ toxicity.
Wow.
Okay. So much. This is, so he was very well switched on. And you can imagine challenged at the time as well.
Yeah. Especially in those days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
alchemy was very much linked to witchcraft and all
in some ways, for certain areas and other areas, it was the science at the time. It was the chemistry at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just depends on where you were at that particular part of the world.
Or who you were, if it was a woman.
That too as well. Yes, that's a whole nother topic for sure. Yeah. But he was also bold enough to challenge and reject 15 centuries of established medical theories.
Good man.
Okay. Yeah. So he was amazing, definitely amazing, for what he did. And I respect a lot of what he went through to kind of get to this point. Yeah. He was born in late 1400s and lived into the 1500s. So that's the kind of starting point we have. So we have this amazing history, this amazing spagyric processing method. So we wanted to use this. I wanted to personally use this for the products that we created, because I know with my experience of spagyric in the past that what we find when you use this, you get a very clean, pure, extremely bioavailable product. All right. So the key thing is, what do you start with? Well, it's got to be clean ingredients. And you're right. I know you mentioned this, all that, the tests that you have to do. Everything that we do with our products is tested for being free of insecticides, pesticides, chemicals, metals, all these kind of things. Because you have to start with the best. You have to start with the cleanest. So all the raw materials go through testing to make sure they're exceptionally clean. And all of our growers use, the organic processes to make sure that they are doing everything that they can to respect Mother Nature as well. One of the interesting things you'll find with this processing method is it's very biodynamic, respecting the kind of laws of Mother Nature. Yeah, Mother Nurture. So we do have alcohol in these products, and so that's a very, very clean organic alcohol that we use with grapes, wines. It kind of becomes it's a wine basically, and there's a lot of wonderful antioxidant ingredients, active plant ingredients, and so we're starting with raw materials that are great.
Just on that note, I know with the homeopathics and with the process that you mentioned using alcohol, those that can't take alcohol for religious reasons, what then would you do with the product?
Well, it's an interesting one. First off, if there's an issue with alcohol, you can just put it in some warm water to burn off the alcohol. It's done. Not boiled water, but, let it come off the boil. And you just do that with anything. Because that could be for children, for instance.
Because we're talking drops here, aren't we?
We're talking very small drops.
Like big, vast volumes of alcohol. We're talking like little drops. So when you actually put it in cooled boiled water, it's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone. And look, I have a son. We do it with my son. We put it in warm water. It burns it off. We've been working with practitioners who only work with children, and they love the flexibility of all of our products being able to be used in different ways. But you alluded to this earlier, the greenhouse. So this is really the heart of where things happen. We've got a 40-day process here, and there's kind of three aspects. The first is the separation, then a purification, then the reunification. So we'll just
is there any significance to the 40 days? Does it relate
completely? Yes. 40 is a very important number in alchemy, in spagyric. It's a fundamental, stable number. Yeah, so 40% alcohol. You'll hear the number 4 a few times when we're talking about it. If anybody out there wants to look at numerology and Mother Nature and the cycles around that, just type it in. You can do a search, and it'll give you plenty of information around that in context.
And does it link to the Fibonacci sequence at all?
I'm not sure.
I thought that it does.
At that level, if you really think about it, everything does. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it's interesting because it's all around that era of the Fibonacci sequence with Leonardo. So it would make sense. It would make complete sense.
And if you think about it too, if you are working with Mother Nature, you're naturally working with the Fibonacci series, whether you realize it or not.
Exactly.
So if you're respecting those principles, you're working with life rather than trying to recreate it. So with the spagyric processing method, a lot of what we do happens in our greenhouse, and it's kind of like our heart of the processing method.
I love this.
Yeah, it's really cool. So the first thing is there's a lot of environmental considerations. So, for instance, we respect Mother Nature's fundamental cycles. So every batch of products is started on the zenith of the day. Every batch. The demijohns, which are these big glass jars, they're quite large, to put your hands around them. You take 2 to kind of hold it. They sit in sand. Okay, they sit in earth. One of the things you'll notice is we work with the lunar cycle, 28-day cycle. And that's a very important cycle. I think it's women understand the 28-day cycle more than most people, of course. But we've forgotten so much, 28 days, 13 potential months that would line everything up. There's so much that it's happening all around us, but the lunar cycle is very important.
And also we talk about the Earth's heartbeat, the Schumann resonance, the frequencies and all of the things that you're talking about, like actually popping these jars into the earth. We have lots of different frequencies that are involved in all of that as well.
Oh, yes, definitely. And what's great about this is we're creating a stress-free environment. This is the whole idea here. Temperature is kept at a constant 36.8 degrees. And what does that remind you of anything?
Human body.
Yep. And guess what humidity is kept at? Could you guess? 40%.
There you go.
40. Okay. 40% humidity. So, and this is constant. So this creates an environment that really allows for the spagyric processing method to really take hold. It's all
It
part
would be
of it.
really interesting to see all of the numbers lined up,
Yeah.
what you use within this process.
Well, on top of that, in the greenhouse, we have the 528 hertz frequency constantly played.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
From start to finish,
Yeah.
it's constantly played throughout this whole process. So you've got this, which if anybody out there's not familiar, just type in 528 hertz frequency.
It's the healing frequency.
Yeah, that's what it's known as. Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah. And that is what I have in one of my products. The 3 essential oils added together add up to that frequency. Brilliant. Which is almost as close to the skin's frequency.
Yeah, well, it's often talked about the DNA frequency. I've heard it. That's right. So what's happening? We're creating a healthy magnetic field with these frequencies at the same time, and it's all working together.
You're talking my language.
Yes, indeed. Well, everything is frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. It really is. So let's work with. So really, we're talking about a holistic approach that allows for kind of amplification of all the ingredients with an energetic surround. And the last and definitely not least of this is we love doing it.
Yeah.
We really love doing this. So the intention behind why we do what we do, I think, is really the most important thing.
Of course, yeah, because intention is key to everything.
Yeah.
What you have to realize is that we are mainly water, and water holds on to that frequency.
My goodness,
water holds on to that, and it also transmits and communicates to other cells. So whatever you think, whatever you absorb, whatever actions you take, they actually have an impact on the human body and for those around you and the things that are around you. A good example is when a woman is on a period, that if she's blending essential oils, she could be blending the same essential oils every day of the week when she's doing aromatherapy. When she's on a period, depending on her mood or how she's feeling, it can actually change the blend of that aromatherapy oil that she's made. It literally does change those things around you. So intention is so important.
It really is. And what's interesting about this is this has been proven. There's been research done to show this with water. So this isn't just some airy-fairy thought. This is practical. Right. And if the healing process is practical, if the laws of nature are practical, if they're there for everybody, this is the beauty of it. Nobody owns health. We all do. Exactly. In that sense, there's no company out there that has the patent on the healing process on health. We all do. It's all of ours naturally. Yeah. The key thing is tapping into that and working with those cycles. So when you do that and you create something that respects that, it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Oh, yeah.
And to be able to do that and to share that with the world it's exciting. It really is fun. So it amplifies that joy in what we do. When products are being sent out, it's like we're so excited that they're going out to help somebody. So it's all the way through the process, not just making them, but the environment they sit in here at the office.
So explain about the ones that you have released so far.
Certainly. So we've got 9 products so far. 3 are kind of physical nutritionals. 6 are botanicals. Out of the 6 botanicals, we have 3 singles and 3 blends. So in order, we've got the berberine. It's been around for a very long time. It's a very kind of cleanser, purifier product. So that's just straight up berberine. The other great thing when people and practitioners start looking at the products, they notice what's not in our products.
Yeah.
All right. What do I mean by that? The things that don't need to be there are not there. Yeah. Fillers, extra bits just to, just for preserving,
for the sake of it, yeah.
Preservatives and all these kind of things. They're not there. They don't need to be. So we've got berberine. We've got the Hepata Plus, which has been a very well-received product, kind of liver biliary tree. And again, all these are liquids. Then we've got the Immunity, which, can you guess what that's for?
Well, let me think.
Immune support, function, things like that. It's got some great things like echinacea in it, maitake mushrooms, which is a great adaptogenic mushroom. Then we have our milk thistle. And if you haven't heard about milk thistle, you've probably maybe just haven't noticed anything, done any research in health. Milk thistle is probably the most researched ingredient to support the liver.
It's fantastic. I recommend Liver Rescue or any of the liver supplements. I always add on the milk thistle as well, because it's a great supporter. So while one's draining and one's cleansing and clearing, this is supporting.
Indeed. It's got years and years and years of history and scientific study around it. So we know it works, not because we found that out, but we just got the history. Then we have the Feistrovim, which is for hormonal support. And then we have the awesome turmeric, as we were mentioning, alluding to. Turmeric has got thousands of years of history around it. This is just straight up turmeric again on its own. I mean, if you were to look up turmeric, you'd see people talking about antioxidant, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic. I love it in my water as well. I put it in my water.
And it's good for healthy aging.
Indeed. So there's so much there. I always knew I wanted to have a turmeric. Always knew that. And so we've got the berberine, Hepatoplus immunity, milk thistle, Feistrovim, and turmeric. Those are the 6 botanicals. On the nutrition side, the kind of physical tablets and things like that, the first one's Colon Move, and this is designed to help create a healthy, moving colon.
Yeah.
This is a pretty systemic situation in our industry and in our world that, people don't poo enough.
No, they don't. They don't.
And so it's not designed just to be a laxative by any means. It's designed to help support and purify. And then we have the Colon Soothe, which is a powder to help for more sensitive gut type concerns. And then the last one, which well, as well, is the Infiltrate. And this is a nutritional with some very, very well-known, powerful anti-inflammatory support in it. And my goodness, is this quick.
I have to say, I mean, I've just had a procedure and I was taking Infiltrate before and post, and it really does help with that pain and that inflammation. It really does. So yeah, definitely Infiltrate is fantastic for inflammation.
It's always as a company, it's always great when we hear the stories, but it's always wonderful when those practitioners we can help them. So I'm glad. I'm glad. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I'm glad too. I'm glad too.
And the great thing with all these is they're easy to take. There's, many ways to take them. A lot of them are liquids. One's a powder. The other 2 you can break up if you need to. So there's, there's flexibility in how to use them. But the main thing is that they get used properly. So they get used in a way that a practitioner understands the individual case and integrates them as and when. So that's again why we only work with practitioners, so that they're used properly.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And you're fantastic. I'm really blessed that you're part of, my holistic family. And it really is such a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you every month. We sit and we chat, and, I'd class you as one of my good friends, and it really is a pleasure. And it's a case of, let's look at what we can do with this type of condition. Let's see what we can pull in and how would we help it, and what treatments could we do and what products could we use. And it's just brilliant. I love it. But thank you so much for giving your time today, for sharing your knowledge, which is vast, and allowing others to know that there are some fantastic ingredients and fantastic products out there for their health and well-being.
Well, thank you, Maria. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to help in any way we can and add value to those that you are serving. And look, isn't it fun to create a healthier world together?
Absolutely is.
That's what it's all about. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much as well.
Thank you. For those of you who are interested in the spagyric herbs and the homeopathic remedies, please don't hesitate to book in for a consultation. You can do so on www.mariereynolds.london.com.
That's it for this week's Good Vibes Only episode. But there's plenty more wholesome, holistic information where that came from. Check out Marie's website, www.mariereynolds.london.com, or follow Marie on socials. For Marie's products, follow at Marie Reynolds London on Instagram and Facebook, and at Marie Reynolds _London on TikTok. You can also follow Marie's day-to-day content on Instagram. Follow @MarieReynolds_MRL. Thank you so much for listening to Good Vibes Only. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe to and review the podcast wherever you listen to them. And remember to share the episode too. See you next time.